Welcome in, guys. It's Brad with College SportsCast. We are here to do the final weekend episode of the college football season. It is game day pick'em. What is up? I am Brad, and we are here to do our game day pick'em college sportscast. I've got John Hammonds on here with me. What's up, Hammonds?
What's up, man?
Did you eat a lot of turkey?
Not really. I mean, I ate turkey. I had more ham than I had anything.
Okay.
I'm a big
ham guy, huh?
I'm a ham guy more than I am turkey, but I like turkey.
All right.
It just depends on who cooks it and stuff.
Yeah. All right. If you are on with Facebook with us, you can help support us by sending stars, or you can subscribe to our page now. It's 99 cents a month. Every little bit helps us to earn a little money to make more content for you guys, and we would appreciate that, as well as if you are on YouTube as well. We appreciate you. We are trying to build that to where we can do the same thing with YouTube as we're doing basically with Facebook. So we're getting closer and closer, getting close to 700 on there. All right. It is the final regular season week in college football. It's crazy that it's already here, but I've seen somebody this week talk about this is the longest season of college football in the history of college football. And it makes sense. There's 2 bye weeks, and you've got the 12-team college football playoff.
Mm-hmm.
As well on top of that. So this is actually the longest season of college football in the history of college football so far. But it still seems like it's kind of flying by, does it not?
It does.
All right, Jerry, John, what's up, guys? I appreciate you being with us. So we're going to start with college football like we normally do. And we're going to talk about a bunch of these games that have some meaning. Right now, Georgia's playing and not looking good, and that game has some meaning as well. But we don't talk really a lot about the Thursday and Friday games and stuff. But Ole Miss got the win tonight in the Egg Bowl. So they're 9-3. Tulane lost last night to Memphis at home. So they're kind of out of the college football playoff now. And Georgia is on the ropes against Georgia Tech. And I think that game's at home, John.
Mm-hmm. It is. It's a dog pound.
They need a bigger bite tonight.
Yeah.
They need a bigger bite tonight.
Yeah, that's true. Yeah.
All right, we're going to start with the noon game tomorrow. John, does Michigan and Ohio State ever play at night, or is it always a day game? Because
it always feels like it, don't it?
I'm beginning to think I think it's always a day game, honestly. So they start the day off tomorrow. This is rivalry week. So, we got a bunch of games here that I've done some games that have some college football playoff implications. This is Michigan at Ohio State. Ohio State is a 19.5-point favorite. And, Michigan's had a down year, but in a rivalry game, you never know, John.
In a one-game situation, I told you that last week, I'm not giving them 3 touchdowns. Ohio State really hasn't, to me, played that well at times. But Michigan's not the greatest this year. They're having a really down year, but that don't mean that Michigan won't make Will Howard throw some throw some questionable throws because they certainly have the pass rush to cause some issues. I think they ranked 16th, I believe I was looking at in sacks. I'm going to tell you, man, this game will be closer than people think. As much as everybody says, well, Ohio State's going to go out there and blow them out. Well, listen, this is a rivalry game. And in a one-game setting, you put two hated rivals with each other on a field, and anything can happen on that day. So I'm going to take Michigan to cover. I don't like how high this line is. This is a high line, man.
I have to say I'm not real crazy about the high, how high the line is here, but at the same time, Michigan really hasn't looked good this year. They're 6-5. They've had a really down year for them.
Their offense is what's holding them back, and I think tomorrow they're going to have to score some touchdowns. They're not going to be able to kick field goals to beat Ohio State. They're going to have to score points. And, at the end of the day,
being at home, Michigan has won 3 in a row in this series. Ohio State at the shoe really should be fired up for this game. I'm going to take Ohio State and lay these 19.5 points, I think.
That's high, man. I mean, it
is high. It is high, but Ohio State's got something to play for. But I mean, what I know, so does Georgia tonight. So, and they ain't playing worth a crap. So
that's what I mean. Like in a one game setting, you just don't know. Like it's just.
So we got some guys that says Ohio State's going to cover. I don't know. So I'm going to pick Ohio State in this one for myself and go from there. The next one we're going to talk about is Tennessee is at Vandy. Vandy, believe it or not, I think is 5-5 in the last 10 games versus Tennessee. Even though as bad as they've been over the last 10 years, they're still 5-5 in the last 10 versus Tennessee. This is at Vandy. It's a weird place to play. They're still, finishing up the construction. It doesn't hold as many. It's a weird place to play. And they've got some wins there this year. The Vandy's 6-5. Tennessee is an 11-point favorite, John.
They are.
What do you think in this game?
Tennessee has a lot to play for, and they also have a lot to lose. And Vanderbilt is 7-1 against the spread this year. I think you're going to see a very confident Vanderbilt team be fired up in a rivalry game. They're going to a bowl game this year. I think this might be one of the most competitive Tennessee-Vandy games we've seen in a while when it comes to, both teams are going to a bowl. Tennessee's playing for a chance to go to the college football playoff. Vandy's already got their 6th win on the season. So I expect a Vandy team to be fired up, but Tennessee has the most talented team out of this group. And Vanderbilt has no reason to be intimidated either. They beat Alabama. They went on the road and almost beat LSU. They've hung with every team that's been on their schedule, and they probably believe they can win this game,
including Texas. Including Texas.
They almost beat Texas. Yeah. So I'm going to take Vanderbilt in the 10 points. I think Vanderbilt is going to hang tough in this game, and I think they cover this spread. But I do think Tennessee wins this game. But I would expect Tennessee or Vanderbilt to play one of their best games they played all year, especially it being a rivalry game.
So it looks like Jerry Carter's give us an update on the Georgia game there. Why are they not kicking a field goal and not kicking the extra point? I don't really understand that. It was just after halftime. It's not like the game's right on the line. They had to do all that. I'm not sure. All right. anyways, I agree with you. This Vandy team has played really tough. I'm going to take Vandy in the points as well, 11 points. Tennessee has struggled to score, at least in the first half, almost every single game this year, it seems like. They just don't score that many first half points. And I think that Vandy will score enough to at least cover this. And they will fight with them at home, that's for sure. They've had a really great year for Vandy, and you got to give them just a little bit of a shout out here on College Sportscast for the season they've had. I know they're 6-5, but man, not too many people had them picked for more than 3 or 4 wins before the season started.
I was almost close to picking Vanderbilt because,
Yeah,
this is one of those games where Tennessee's playing for
I'm telling
a lot.
you, I think they're 5-5 in the last 10.
I mean, it's I don't know, man. I come close to picking Vanderbilt.
Well, Tennessee is playing for a ton. If they win, they're probably in the college football playoff.
If they lose, it gets
if
a little
they
tricky.
lose, they're likely out, to be honest. Likely. I don't know that for sure, but likely with 3 losses. Yeah. All right. The next one we're going to get to, John, this is an absolute huge game for both of these teams. Clemson is way higher than what I think they should be. Personally, I think South Carolina is a little bit higher than what they should be. I would have a couple of those Big 12 teams ahead of them if it was me, but that's not the case. They're sitting at 15, and Clemson is sitting at 12 in the college football playoff. The winner of this game is more than likely in the 12 leading into championship week. More than likely. I don't know what will happen after championship week, but more than likely.
The Palmetto Bowl is probably the biggest it's been in years with these two teams tomorrow. South Carolina has played teams tough all year. They lost to LSU by 3, Alabama by 2. Their lone bad loss came to Ole Miss, which I think they got beat. What was it, 27-3? I think. And Clemson's loss that they had was to Georgia, and they lost by double digits. And we mentioned that Wednesday night about how they lost to Louisville. They beat everyone but Pitt. They beat them by double digits. Here's the thing. Clemson has a better offensive team, but I'm telling you, man, this is a very, very stingy South Carolina defense that has forced a lot of turnovers this year. They got Dylan Stewart. They got Kennard. This is a really fun South Carolina team. And, if I'm Clemson, I would not let South Carolina hang around until the fourth quarter, because if they do, they're going to be in for a fight. And if they do, it could go either way, to be honest. But give me Clemson to cover this 2.5. I just think they have the better offense, but I think South Carolina.
Shocked. I could have swore I thought you was going to go South Carolina here.
I want to, but it's really hard to go against Clemson at Death Valley in a game like this, like with a lot to play.
I mean, I said that same thing when they played Louisville, and Louisville beat the snot out of them at home in a night game. I mean, this Clemson team, I had a whole rant about Clemson on our Wednesday night show. If you missed it, go watch it, because I had a whole rant about Clemson being up where they are. They're absolutely horrendous.
I don't like it. I don't like the fact that they're sitting at 12 with championship week left to go, and I just don't. They haven't beat anybody. I'm telling
you, man, I can't.
They haven't beat anybody.
They've beat nobody. They won. Go watch my show on Wednesday night. One bowl eligible team all season long. going into the last regular season week.
Alabama has 6.
Yes. I'm going South Carolina here, guys. I'm going South Carolina. I think that defensive line, I think it's the truth. I really do. I think they are the better team here, and I'm going to go South Carolina. I'm taking that. I'm taking the 2.5 points. That's for sure in this game. All right. The next one we're going to go out west here, going out to LA. We got Notre Dame at USC. And it's so weird in a lot of these. Now, the Clemson South Carolina game is not that way, but a lot of these, the rival team is 6-5. Tennessee Vandy was that way. Ohio State, Michigan's that way. Notre Dame, USC is that way. So, I mean, this is a big rivalry game for them, but Notre Dame is a 7.5-point favorite going out to Los Angeles at USC. John, Notre Dame is playing for college football playoff spot here too. They're 5. They win, they're in. Plain and simple. One loss, they're in.
They're going to have a time slowing down Notre Dame's rushing attack. Notre Dame has only allowed 55 points, I think, over their last 6 games, and they're averaging over 44 points over the last 6.
It was pretty good, Josh.
They have enough weapons to hurt USC through the air. I just think Notre Dame has the better quarterback. And the way that Notre Dame is playing right now, I think they're on a mission, and I think they're going to get into the college football playoff. And I know everybody says, well, USC dominated UCLA, and they played good against Nebraska, but slowing down Notre Dame is going to be a much taller task. Those two are not even on the same stratosphere as Notre Dame right now. And I know it's at the Coliseum, but Notre Dame's playing for a lot right now, and I think they take care of business. And I think they cover the 7.5 points.
That's where I'm going to go. Guys, the way USC has played and looked the last couple of years, I just can't go with them in these games. They just don't look like a solid team. Notre Dame does. I think the season they've had and where everybody else is compared to them, I think Notre Dame deserves to be in the college football playoff. I'm going to pick them to win this game and take them to cover in this one. Now, this is a game, John, I don't think anybody is really paying any attention to if you're not a Miami or Syracuse fan. However,
No.
I don't think too many people know Syracuse is 8-3.
They are. They're pretty good.
And I don't think a lot of people realize that Syracuse is 8-3. Miami is going to Syracuse. They're 11-point favorite. And this is a game Miami has to have to stay up where they are and more than likely get into the college football playoff. If they win, John, they get in the ACC championship game.
I want to tell you, Miami, the thing that worries me on this one is Miami has struggled on the road to put away teams. Their last handful of road games have come down to the wire. And Syracuse, I've watched some games from Syracuse. They're more than capable of moving the ball and beating Miami. This one is perfect for that upset pick. Miami don't have a great defense. They do not. They're if they even win this game, they're going to get lit up in the college football playoff when they face better offenses. But just because they got
if they win this, they'll get SMU in the ACC championship first.
Which that's going to be a tough game in itself. But I'm going to take Syracuse to cover the 11 points. I think this is a game Miami needs to be careful about because playing on the road, Syracuse can score. They can move the ball. I just don't know if Syracuse defense can make stops when they need to against Cam Ward. And I think this game's going to be a shootout. and I think Miami squeaks it out at the end.
Listen, Miami has snuck by several times this year, I think.
Too much, actually.
They're at number 6. I've been saying that they're too high since the first college football playoff rankings come out, 1st of November. Every single week I have said it. They have moved up to 6 this week. I still think they're too high. They've been playing a lot of close games. Syracuse is way better than most people know, and they've got a good offense. Kyle McCord is there, the ex-Ohio State quarterback.
Yeah,
they have put up points and are 8-3.
Now, he's had a couple of games where he's not really played the greatest, but as a whole, I think he's had a pretty good year.
He's had a pretty solid year up there at Syracuse, I believe, for bringing them 8-3.
Yeah.
I'm going to take the orange here to at least cover the spread. I really am. I feel like Miami has played too many close games and, scratched by, to be honest with you. So, Jared, I kind of agree with you. I think they have done that in 2 or 3 games already, in my opinion. So, I kind of agree with that. But I'm going to take Syracuse to at least cover the 11 points here in this game. The next one, now, SMU finally moved up inside the top 12, top 10 in the college football playoff. I have been saying for weeks that they deserve to be there. They've been leading the SEC. They are clinched. They have clinched their spot in the ACC championship game. Miami wins, they're in. If Clemson wins and Miami loses, Clemson is in. In the ACC championship game. But SMU's playing California here. They're 6-5 as well. I was talking about some of the 6-5 teams. SMU is got a spot if they can win, I think.
Yeah. This is going to be a tough game for Cal. It's at SMU. Cal's got a decent defense, but every time they played a team that is really versatile offensively, they struggle. They're good at forcing turnovers. Being on the road in a hostile environment, especially with a team that's playing for a lot like SMU
I'm going to answer this, Chris.
I look for them to take care of business.
He'll get another year.
I look for SMU to take care of business and head to the ACC championship game with a lot of momentum on their side. SMU's playing for a lot right now.
A ton. I mean, if they win this, I told y'all on the Wednesday show, if you watched the Wednesday show, the Big Fuss show this week, I think SMU wins, they're in. I don't care what happens.
By the way,
in
I just
the
wanted
ACC championship game.
I kind of wanted to update real quick. Michigan's star Johnson and Loveland is out for Ohio State for the Ohio State game tomorrow, so that makes a big difference in the game. So,
yeah, it does. Absolutely.
Just wanted to kind of put that out there.
I think Cal's defense is pretty decent, but their offense is not real great, and SMU's is. I'm picking SMU to cover this and win and cover here in this game. All right, we are going to Auburn at Alabama, the Iron Bowl. The Iron Bowl here. Alabama is a 10.5-point favorite at home, and they're still playing for something. I know a lot of people are not happy with that Bama's hanging at 13, but I'll be honest with you, John. I said it this week in the show. I think they deserve to be over Clemson, and they got Clemson at 12. So that's just my opinion. They played much better. They got 6 wins versus bowl eligible teams. Clemson has 1.
They're very vulnerable right now. They've all, like you said, they lost Oklahoma last weekend. They didn't just lose; they lost by 21 points. They was 13.5-point favorites. The Sooners outgain Alabama. They just dominate them from start to finish.
I think you will, Chris.
Can Auburn sustain the momentum from the game against A&M? Peyton Thorne looked like a totally different quarterback. Keandre Lambert-Smith played really well. They got Cam Coleman. They're led by their run game by Jarquez Hunter. This is going to be an interesting matchup, how it all shakes out, because if Alabama loses this game, you can say goodnight to the college football playoff. They get 4 losses, they're pretty much done for.
Well, they can't. They can't. I don't care if the committee wants to put them in or not. They can't if they lose this game.
So, give me Alabama. See, the thing about picking some of these rivalry games is because some of these teams on a one game off, you just don't ever know what's going to happen. We've seen it the last 3 or 4 years in some of these big games. Alabama, what was it, in 13, or was it 14 or 13, when they had a shot to go to the championship and Auburn ruined every bit of it with the kick 6. Like, their whole season was down the drain after that. Like, you just don't know what you're getting in some of these games because rivalry games, everybody plays different. But give me Alabama. I think they win this game. I think they cover the 10.5. But I do think Auburn's going to play really well, especially after the win against Texas A&M. I think they're going to be ready to play.
Gosh, I mean, a week ago, I would have said for sure Alabama's covering this at home, and then they go to Oklahoma and look like crap. Mm-hmm. I mean, they looked and played like crap. It's been 15 years since they scored 3 points, and they didn't even score a touchdown. I mean, it's been forever. I mean, I didn't think I would see a Kalen DeBoer team not be able to score a touchdown. Jalen Milroe, Ryan Williams. Now, I will say they had one called back that was a terrible call in that game. But still, didn't score a touchdown when it all said and done. And Auburn looked good, albeit 1 week. I've been down on Auburn all year long. I thought they're one of the not so good teams in the SEC. Kentucky is also one of them, but I've always thought Auburn has been one of them this entire year. So I'm going to go Alabama here because I think that's what ought to happen. But, man, after last week, it kind of scares me. I don't know. All right, Washington at Oregon. Washington is another 6-5 team versus their rival. Oregon is an 18.5-point favorite.
I'm going to be honest with you. Washington has been shaky in games that they've had. The Ducks are playing for quite a bit. They're to be undefeated, the top seed in the playoff. Washington doesn't have
only
the offense.
Undefeated left.
Washington don't have the offense to stay in this game. They rely on the passing offense to generate points, but the Ducks have a really, really good pass defense, and they're not real great running the ball. Washington's not. I can't see Washington against a really good Oregon rush defense that is, 28th in the country, 27th, something around there. So give me Oregon and the 18.5. I think they win this one pretty big, especially at home on senior day.
At Eugene, as much as I think this is kind of high, I really think and feel like that this being in Eugene, I'm going to take Oregon here. The Ducks are going to take care of business finish the regular season undefeated, get to the Big Ten championship game. Kind of odd to say that here. Big Ten championship game for the Ducks. But I think that's what happens in this one. All right, this is another big one in the SEC. Texas is a 5-point favorite at College Station, John. The Aggies
that place is going to be absolutely electric.
This is the first time this rivalry has been played since A&M left the Big 12 in 2011. It's the last time.
You think there's a lot of bad?
It's going to be a huge game.
You think there's a lot of bad blood here?
It's been 13 years since this game was played.
You know, I want to be honest with you, Brad. Texas, to me, has really not beat anybody. In the games that they have won, they haven't looked that great. You know, Kentucky was in the game up until the late fourth quarter. Vanderbilt hung around in Nashville. They got dominated. They got dominated against Georgia. Just too many close per game comforts for me. Now, with that said, this is going to be a raucous crowd. I think Texas A&M is going to come ready to play. How does A&M kind of come back from that Auburn loss last week? Because that was tough.
Think about this for just a second. Hang on for just a second. Think about this before you finish. What if A&M beats Texas and Georgia loses tonight? We will have 2 3-loss teams in the SEC championship game.
That's hard to believe.
Do y'all hear what I just said? That's crazy to even think about.
Actually, you wouldn't, because Texas has 1 loss.
Texas wouldn't make the championship game. The winner of this game makes the championship game.
I know what you're saying. I thought you meant Texas only has 1 loss. I thought that you meant they would have 2. They would have 3. I wasn't thinking about A&M. So.
No, I'm talking about the SEC championship game.
Yeah, you're right. You're right. A&M would have 3 losses. You're right. I didn't think about that.
And Georgia would have 3 losses if they lose tonight.
Yep. With that said, I got A&M, or not A&M, Texas. I think Texas takes care of business, but I think this game comes down to the last kind of late 2 minutes. I think Texas wins this game, and I think they cover the spread. It could be ugly tomorrow.
It's going to be a. I'm telling you, it's been a long time coming for this game.
These 2 teams hate each other worse than most teams around the country. Like, it's a hated rivalry.
And they haven't played for a long time.
Yes,
I'm going to take Texas here, even though I know A&M's going to give them everything they have tomorrow night.
Yeah, they're
in this game.
Really missing. They're really missing their running back, A&M Moss. I think.
Here's my only worry. And honestly, they may be better off if Manning plays. But Ewers got hurt last week versus Kentucky. And I heard that he's been having some extra x-rays and some tests and stuff going on this week. But they might be better off if Manning plays. I don't know. So, I mean, this is true. I mean, honestly. So, we'll see. But I'm going to take Texas in this one. All right. This is the last football game we're going to talk about here tonight. We got a Big 12 matchup in this one. We got Kansas State at Iowa State. Iowa State wins, and they are in the Big 12 championship. Arizona State wins. They play Arizona. Arizona's only 4-7. I did not put them on the list. But Arizona State and Iowa State, if they both win, they're in.
This
Iowa
should be
State is a 2.5-point favorite at home.
This should be an exciting game. This game to me will come down to a couple, maybe three things. Iowa State's ability to limit mistakes and to limit pressure on the quarterback. Iowa State, I think, is 24th in the country in turnover margin, and they're 7th in fewest penalties, so they don't have a lot of penalties. I don't think they're going to make that kind of mistake against this Kansas State team. This Kansas State team is hard to predict because one week you get a really good Kansas State team, and then another week you get a Kansas State team that don't even show up. Like, I don't know how.
They still actually have an outside shot. They need some help with these four teams, but they still have an outside shot of getting making the Big 12 championship.
I think Iowa State wins this game, but it probably comes down to the final buzzer. I think Iowa State wins, and I'm going to take the Cyclones in the 2.5 points. I just think Iowa State's a better football team.
I think that's what I'm going to do too here at home. I mean, they got a lot they are playing for,
but they're still. They still can
play
for a lot. Yeah.
And I know sometimes the upset of like picking them off, like for Kansas State, because they do have a lot to play for, can mean a whole lot too in these games. But I'm going to take the Cyclones at home here to cover this 2.5. And
quick question: how many basketball games we got?
I've got about 5 or 6.
Oh, okay. I didn't know
but I was going to do something at the end and do kind of a rapid fire is what I was going to do at the end. So, all right, football-wise, the two games that I looked at that I did not put on here, one was Arizona State versus Arizona, and the other was Houston and BYU. Houston's 4-7, BYU's 9-2. They still have an outside shot to get the Big 12 championship game, so they still have an outside shot as well in that game. So, but I did not put them on. And from there, guys, we're going to move to some college basketball. These are the players era, whatever it's called. These are played tomorrow. We got Texas A&M versus Rutgers. Texas A&M is a 4.5-point favorite in this game versus Rutgers. Of course, they just played Bama and only got beat by 5 out there in Vegas. John, what do you think in this game?
I like Rutgers in this game. Their rebounding has been pretty good. They don't turn the ball over quite a bit. When they got
Jared
Harper.
I'm probably not in the popular opinion here, but I got Ashton Genty. That's who my Heisman votes for.
The Aggies right now are not playing really good defensively. They've given up 72 points in each of their last 2 games.
Yes.
I think they're going to have a hard time slowing down Rutgers in this game. I'm going to go with Rutgers to cover the spread. Harper and Ace Bailey are 2 of the best freshmen in the country. And I like this Rutgers team.
A&M's played hit or miss. Sometimes they look really good. Sometimes they don't. They I like Wade Taylor. I like Buzz Williams as a coach. I really think that this, he usually gets them going late in the year. But this Rutgers team's pretty good. Scrappy, like you said, they got some really good freshman guards. I think I'm going to take A&M, though, in this one. And I did not look at the spreads in these games, but these are also part of that players' era. This is the championship game tomorrow in that, Oregon versus Alabama. that both of these teams have played really, really well. I think Oregon's still undefeated, aren't they, John? You're muted.
Yeah, they are.
Yeah.
I kind of like Oregon in this game. Then I kind of switch back to Alabama. I think they're going to do a really good job protecting the ball. I don't think they'll give Alabama a lot of easy scoring opportunities. The Ducks have a really good defense. They're really good defensively. Alabama's not good defensively. And I think I'm going to go with Oregon to cover the spread. Now, does that mean they win? I don't know. But, Alabama struggles at times. They have really good games, and some games they have like really, really bad games, like the Purdue game. The thing that holds Alabama back a lot of times is their defense. Now they can score with just about anybody in the country. You see that, Mark Sears, Reitzel, Grant Nelson. This is a Final Four type team, but I think their defense is what holds them back at times. But I think in this game they'll win this game. But I pick Oregon to cover the spread. And I think,
all right.
I'm not real sure. I'm not real sure what the spread is on this game. I think it was Alabama. Don't say it here.
Well, if you'll give me a second,
It don't show it on the. I thought it showed it on the ESPN thing.
5.5. Bama's favored 5.5.
I think Oregon covers that. Yeah.
Okay. I'm going to go Bama in this one. I just think I really like this Bama team. There's a few SEC teams. They're one of them that I think is one of the best teams in the nation. Oregon's played really well. I'll give it to them. They might win this thing. This is the championship game in this Players Era thing, NIL thing that they put together. So we'll see. But I'm going to take Alabama in this one. And then this is also part of that. I'm not sure which is the third place game and which is the fifth place game. I didn't really look. I don't really know.
This is the third game.
Okay. San Diego State and Houston is in this one. Houston's favored 12.5 points in this game.
A lot of that is because San Diego is not playing really well defensively. They've given up 78 points in 2 of their last 3 games. And Houston has won 4 of their last 6 games against competition, while the Aztecs have won 3 of their last 5. Houston has a big advantage in this game because they're shooting the ball really well right now. They're making over 40% of their shots. They got a really great player in LJ Cryer. They're really good at the free throw line. I think San Diego State's going to have a hard time slowing down Houston in this game just because of their defense and the way they score and the way they go after you. Kelvin Sampson has built a really good program at Houston. There's not, I tell people all the time.
If they were to lose tomorrow, though, John, that'd be 3 losses already early in the season.
It would, early in the year.
Which is rare.
Rare for Houston. So I'm going to go with Houston to cover the spread. I think they win this game. San Diego State is still kind of growing. They'll be good once they get into conference play. There's some pieces that need to be fixed and put together, and right now they're just not there yet.
12.5 seems like a wide spread, though, in this one. I agree with you. Houston probably wins this game. Do I think they cover? Gosh, I'm going to say they do, but man, I think it's going to be pretty close. That means they got to win by 13 to cover that spread. But But three pretty good games tomorrow in that Players Era NIL tourney they put together to kind of close out Feast Week. So thought I would mention those. And then Tuesday begins the ACC SEC Challenge. We haven't really talked about Kentucky basketball on here yet, outside of I guess we did the Duke Kentucky game. But outside of that, Tuesday begins the SEC ACC Challenge. And I've got two games on here from Tuesday from that challenge. Kentucky at Clemson. There's no spreads for these games yet. Clemson is 6-1. Kentucky 7-0. And it's at Clemson.
This will probably be Kentucky's first true road test.
No. Clemson's 7-1.
To find out where they are. But I do like Kentucky in this game. I think they win this game. It'll be close. Clemson always plays really good at home. They're always a pretty good home team. Now, when they go on the road, sometimes they have hit and miss games, but they tend to play really well at home. I think the crowd will be behind them. It'll be really loud there, but I think Kentucky gets it done Tuesday night. And by the way, that's a 9:00 game on the night that we are supposed to do our Big Fuss show, by the way.
Yeah, we may have to do it a little early or something that night. But so here's my thing. I'm going to be honest with you guys. I didn't think that Kentucky played too awful well against Western. And before the little brawl, flagrant fouls tonight, I didn't think they played too good tonight. Now, they finished the game like they were a little mad and upset and finished the game strong, but we were only up 6 points on Georgia State at home when that happened. I mean, I really haven't been all that impressed the last couple of games, to be honest with you. And this is a true road test at a pretty tough environment against a pretty decent team. I'm going to take Kentucky, but it would not surprise me if Clemson gives them all that they can handle at home.
But I also say that a lot of teams struggle with these. There's been a lot of teams lose to bye games. It's not just Kentucky. There's a lot of teams losing to these teams. It's all over.
But I don't like the schedule. Me and you have talked about it. I don't like what's happened the last 2 weeks with Kentucky. Not at all. I don't think it prepares you for games like this. And I'm a little worried about it, to be honest with you. Now, I think Kentucky should win it, but will they be ready for a road environment in a hostile place?
Ask Oklahoma. Ask Oklahoma and West Virginia. They beat Gonzaga and Arizona. Like, it's just you don't know about it. Like, it's just any given night somebody's going to knock you off in basketball. It's a lot different in football because every night there's a different game. You know what I mean?
I agree with you. I'm just stating the way I kind of feel about the way they've played and the schedule. I haven't been real happy with it the last couple of weeks.
But every team goes through that at home, though, with teams like that. Like, you've seen it all year. Like, they struggle with teams like that. Like, there's been games where they just don't – they're not – it's hard – I tell people it's hard to get up for these kind of games. Like, these little directional schools, like, it's hard to get up for that stuff. Like, you expect to win the game, and they outscored them 62-24 in the paint. That's pretty deep. That's pretty good.
You talking about tonight? But a lot of that was after the little brawl and the delay with 12 and a half, 13 minutes to go. Because it was a 6-point game when that happened.
Yeah, but they wouldn't know.
I mean,
This ain't a Calipari run team either. So, just saying.
all right. Also Tuesday night, part of the SEC ACC Challenge is Ole Miss at Louisville. Ole Miss lost today by 2. A game that they battled, real close game that they lost today in one of those tournaments. Who was it they were playing, John?
Oklahoma.
No, Louisville lost to Oklahoma. Who did Ole Miss lose to? They lost by 2 points.
Purdue.
Purdue. Okay. So Ole Miss and Louisville play. Louisville, of course, made the finals of the Battle for Atlantis, lost today to Oklahoma. And Ole Miss played and lost by 2 to Purdue team that beat Alabama. So what do you think of this one?
I think it's going to be exciting. Louisville is Pat Kelsey has done a really good job with them. They lost tonight, but, they got some pieces there. Hepburn, he come from Wisconsin. Prior, I think he was from South Florida. They got some transfers in there. The Noah Waterman kid from BYU, he was part of Pope's team last year. Then you got Ole Miss with Jalen Murray, Brakefield. This Ole Miss team might be better than I thought they was. They competed with Purdue. I thought Purdue would win by more than what they did, but maybe Ole Miss is better than people think. So should be interesting to see these two teams get after it in the Yum Center. I like Ole Miss to win this game. I still think Louisville has some, there's some things that they need to work on. At times they get stuck with the ball in their hand. I watched a little bit of the Oklahoma game. I felt like they got stuck with the ball, holding the ball too long. But that will get fixed because Pat Kelsey's a really good coach, and he'll figure that out. But defensively, they're a really good basketball team. And shout out to Oklahoma tonight. They're 7-0. Speaking of which, the SEC is a gauntlet in basketball.
Yeah.
We might have 11.
I'm going to take Ole Miss in this game. Yeah, I agree with you. 100%. The SEC's been wildly good, and I expected them to be, but man, they've been good. I'm going to take Ole Miss in this game, but this Louisville team is playing a lot better than I thought they would, to be quite honest with you. And I mean, I just feel like Ole Miss, Morrell, I feel like that they will come ready to play in this game. I feel like they have a good team. I'm going to take Ole Miss in this one. Yeah. All right. Now, before we go off, Tuesday and Wednesday is the SEC and ACC Challenge. Also, the Big 12 and Big East battle happens Tuesday and Wednesday. So kind of a rapid fire here, John. I want you to pick a winner. I'm going to run through a bunch of these games on these two SEC ACC Challenge and the Big 12 Big East battle. I'm going to run through a bunch of these games, just kind of a rapid fire. Tell me who's going to win. All right. First one is Cincinnati at Villanova.
Cincinnati.
All right. Second one is part of the SEC ACC. It's Arkansas at Miami.
Miami. I don't know. I might like Arkansas in this game. Miami has not played well this year.
They really haven't.
Give me Arkansas on that one.
Okay. All right. The next one is Syracuse at Tennessee.
Got Tennessee in that one.
All right. Wake Forest 7-2 at Texas A&M 5-2.
Texas A&M.
right. Those were Tuesday games. Wednesday games. These are cram packed full with some good games. Next Wednesday, December the 4th. These are some killer games. Baylor at UConn.
I like UConn in this game. I think they're going to get better with it, improve.
All right. Alabama at North Carolina.
I like North Carolina to bounce back in this game. This is one of those North Carolina games that they usually turn around and they win.
This is in the Dean Dome.
Yep.
All right. ACC, SEC, Virginia at Florida.
Florida's playing like they're playing like a top 4 seed right now.
All right. Here's a big one in the Big 12, Big East. Marquette at Iowa State.
Oh, man. I like Iowa State.
That's a killer game. Yeah.
Hilton is like going into hell. If nobody has watched Iowa State, it's like going into hell's flames, man. It's not a great place to play. I'll be honest with you.
Yeah. All right. Kansas at Creighton.
I like Kansas in this game. Kansas, Creighton has been up and down. Kansas impressed me the other night with Duke. Give me Kansas in that game.
All right. And Pitt at Mississippi State. Pitt is 7-1.
I like Mississippi State at home. I think they take care of business there.
All right. And then the big one, Auburn at Duke.
Man, it's hard to pick against Duke at home, though. They're good at home, man.
In Cameron Indoor.
Oh, that's
and
tough,
Auburn's played
man.
So good, man.
They have, but
yeah, it's tough.
Playing at Duke is hard, man. I think I'm gonna go Duke. I think they finally went. I think they finally get a big one.
There's some big time games. That's it that I got on here as far as the ranked teams. I just kind of wanted to do a little rapid fire there. There's some big time games next Tuesday and Wednesday, but Wednesday is loaded with some really good games. In the Big East and Big 12 battle and the SEC ACC challenge. There is some really good games, basketball games to watch next week on Tuesday and Wednesday night. I think it's going to be a great couple of nights. Matter of fact, the women's are part of the SEC ACC challenge, and Kentucky women's play the next night on Thursday, December the 5th, in Chapel Hill, and play the 16th ranked North Carolina Tar Heels and the women's as well. And that's going to be a big game. And there's some big games in the women's bracket as well. So pay attention to that as well in those in that time frame of Tuesday, Wednesday, and Thursday next week.
By the way,
John, did you see tonight that TCU knocked off Notre Dame in the women's?
Mm-hmm. I saw some of it. Yeah.
Haley Van Lith has got TCU playing some ball. Notre Dame just knocked off USC, who everybody thinks Juju Watson's has a chance to win a title. And Hannah Hidalgo just went out there and won. And then Haley Van Lith transfers from LSU to TCU, and TCU is playing like the real deal.
By the way, Georgia Tech just put the game on ice. 27-13.
Y'all, listen, I'm going to tell you, it kind of hurt. This one kind of hurts me a little bit. I'm an SEC guy. And when it comes down to it, all of this stuff that's going on, Auburn beating Texas A&M last week, Oklahoma beating Alabama last week, Georgia Tech beating Georgia tonight. This hurts the SEC. When it's all said and done here, man, like, is it at all possible that the SEC gets one team in if Texas wins out?
I'm gonna tell you, if Ole Miss,
I'm telling y'all, I think it's possible.
Ole Miss going to be right there as much as everybody hates it.
Yeah, they are. Because Ole Miss beat this Georgia team. I mean,
ooh boy.
I mean,
it's going to be a.
I'm telling y'all, as much as I hate to see it, because the Big Ten is going to flap about how much better they are, and that they're going to have all these teams in, and they will, because the SEC is beating up on each other. And Georgia, I mean, that's a horrible loss by Kirby Smart. Absolutely horrible.
Now, Colorado.
I know Georgia Tech is a decent team. I know that Georgia Tech is a decent team. I can't go. Colorado's in the 20s in the college football playoff. I can't go there.
But still, though, if they –
the only way Colorado gets in is if they win the Big 12. If Iowa State or Arizona State loses tomorrow and BYU, they have to have all of them lose, by the way, to get in the Big 12 championship. Yeah. I mean, I just can't see – but I'm going to tell you guys right now, I'm an SEC guy. And I don't like what I'm seeing out of the SEC. For the first time in my life, I can say, like, it really concerns me. I would have thought that some of these teams would have been better. I mean, Georgia at home, to let Georgia Tech come in and beat them? Come on, man. Come on, Kirby Smart. I don't get it, man. And for real, if A&M beats Texas, we are going to have 2 3-loss teams in the SEC championship game. A&M versus Georgia. That's unreal to me. Yeah. So, listen, you can say level playing field all you want, but the SEC should be playing better and get at least 3 solid teams in this field. Yeah. There's no excuse for that. None. I don't like what I'm seeing out of the SEC. I just got to say it. All right. That's my little rant on the football side. I mean, I don't like it, man. I really don't. Put it this way. When you've got a chance here of a 9-2 Clemson team to get in this field over a bunch of these Ole Miss and Georgias and Alabamas that's sitting at 8-3 because they've lost one too many games to a Clemson team that's beat nobody? Nobody. Something's not right. I'm telling you, something's not right. That's all I got to say. I'll try to hush it from there. But that's like, some of this is crazy to me. So I hope you guys had a great holiday yesterday. Finish up the holiday weekend. It's Black Friday. If you went shopping, I hope you saved a bunch of money. I did not. I quit Black Friday shopping a few years back. The kids got old enough. I got out of that business. I did when my kids were in there. I have to say I did when my kids were younger. But I got out of the whole Black Friday thing. I'm out of that business. Y'all can have all of that you want. I had my fill of it.
Yeah.
All right, guys. I will see you on Tuesday night.
Yep.
Y'all have a good weekend.
Have a good one. Yeah, weekend.